cucumbers, melons, pretty much the bottoms, and turbits get all dripped. They just don't like to have the leaves wet. It promotes disease, so I try to keep them dry.
So the main consideration is whether the leaves can handle it.
Really, so basil, same thing, drip, because the leaves will discolor. Because we stay wet here for so long in the morning too, it's just, and I get, so the way it works, we don't have enough water for everyone to irrigate all at one time. We have about 140 gallons a minute, which means I can irrigate roughly 2 acres, so these 2 fields I could get at one time. So the flower grower has the water during the day, I get it at night, and a day and a half on the weekend. So I have to do a lot of irrigating. A lot of my irrigation is overnight, so things are staying wet. So I wouldn't want to be irrigating potatoes and stuff overnight that are then going to be wet. And if it's a foggy day, they could be wet till noon, 1 o'clock anyway.
The pumpkins don't work really steady.
So,
I have pumpkins in my water.
Well, I mean, home garden is a little different if you just water a few, but to leave a whole field where I have all the ground, I mean, like the potatoes, it takes a long time for them to dry that moisture anyway. So, to add
I have them in my ditch anyway, so there's good drainage, like it's on a slope.
what's your consideration about weed growth? Because I understand that with sprinkler irrigation, you're watering weeds pretty good too.
I am. Yes. But I'm also watering all the soil, which I like to keep all the ground wet as much as possible. And the weeds are really an issue for about the first 6 weeks of growth, tops. And then at this point, I mean, you can see in here, so we're still picking a little bit of this broccoli. I mean, it's...
Some people
would say, wow, that's a lot of weeds.
At your house will catch
But these aren't competing with my crop anymore.
Oh, okay.
These are fine. They're keeping the ground covered. If I was only drip irrigating this, well, the rain, this would all still be growing, but a normal year, this would all be dry soil. I'd have nothing in here. So my guys come in, they're working, they're walking through. Much rather have them walking on this than having them walk on something like, so this got tilled, but it would look like this. And rather than have them walking on this all the time, compacting this,
pack it down,
I've got roots in here. This keeps their boots a lot cleaner. They're just a lot cleaner. It keeps our boxes cleaner.
Interesting.
Sort of keeps everything
It provides a service.
It provides a service. It's keeping the soil here. If we have a windy night, I'm not losing all this soil.
Yeah.
Is this the water computer?
No, that's just a valve. So that turns that whole line on. But it has to turn on up there before this will turn on. So, we'll get there. And you can see the carrots. So the carrots behind here are kind of hidden in the weeds.
It's a whole thing of flying over with an airplane with Roundup and dropping herbicides every single day, like the Monsanto thing, is like totally useless.
Look out, bro.
Yeah, they're not going to pull, but you can see all the weeds. I still have gorgeous carrots in here. No problem. Like I said, once they get up to this size, the weeds aren't competing with them anymore.
Interesting.
It's really not an issue.
Now, do you rotate your fields? Like
Yes.
Is that annual or?
That's most, so it gets a little tricky with some of the stuff because as you can see, I don't plant a whole field of carrots at once. It's sort of this patchwork. So I try to keep track of the large things: potatoes, peppers, tomatoes, squash, onions. The really big crops that are what I really focus on moving around on a 3-year rotation, pretty much 3 to 4 years. So my soils are all very different too. This side of the farm is much sandier. Going up towards the hillside gets a little bit heavier and a lot redder. And then the other side of the farm is much heavier. So I'm trying to work it out to keep my heavier feeders over on that side and move them in sort of a 3 to 4 year. And then on this side, so this is much sandier, so all my potatoes are in here because of the sand. The field up there where the onions are is also pretty sandy, so it's sort of going to be this 4-field rotation somewhat in there, but it looks great on paper. It lays out beautifully. It's, oh yeah, this is what I'm going to do. It's rainy in spring. I only have 1 field I can get in. I have to go there.
Do what you got to do.
It doesn't matter. This was not planned to go in here, but I had to go here. It was the only field I had that was dry at that point. If I hadn't planted it, I would have lost those crops in the greenhouse, so I just came in and put them in here. So as much as possible, yes, I'm rotating, but it's really like I said, the big crops, really trying not to repeat them.